Welcome to the ShadowTale Project, where every word casts a shadow and every story begins now. The Screaming Tunnel. This story is based on a real urban legend from Niagara, Canada. Locals call it the Screaming Tunnel. It lies deep in the countryside, hidden beneath an old railway between Niagara Falls and St. Catharines. To most people, it's just a short stone passage under the tracks. But to those who know the story, it's a place where the past never rests. They say that if you walk through it at midnight and light a single match, you will hear a scream that chills your blood. I had heard the story many times, but something inside me wanted to know if it was true. So one evening, just before midnight, I decided to see it for myself. The drive down Warner Road felt endless. The streetlights stopped long before I reached the end, and the air turned heavy, colder with every turn. My car headlights lit up the trees and finally revealed a narrow dirt path leading into the darkness. That's when I saw it. The stone arch of the tunnel, half covered in ivy, like the mouth of something ancient waiting to breathe again. I parked the car and stepped out. The world went silent. Even the crickets had stopped singing. The night smelled of wet earth and rain. Every step toward the tunnel sounded too loud. My shoes sank slightly into the mud, and I could hear water dripping somewhere deep inside. When I reached the entrance, I paused. A thin mist rolled from the darkness, and for a moment I thought I saw movement, a faint, white shadow, but it vanished before I could focus. Locals say the story began over a century ago. A small farmhouse once stood near the tunnel, where a young girl lived with her parents. One night, the house caught fire. The flames rose quickly, turning the wooden walls into a storm of heat and smoke. The girl ran from the house, screaming for help. Her clothes were burning as she stumbled through the field, her screams echoing across the valley. She reached the tunnel, hoping its cool stone walls would protect her. But by the time she reached the center, the screams stopped, and all that remained was silence and the smell of smoke trapped inside the stone. Others say the fire was no accident. In the darker version of the legend, her father, filled with rage during a fight with her mother, dragged the girl into the tunnel late one night. He poured gasoline on the walls and on her dress. Then he lit a match. The moment the flame touched the air, the tunnel exploded with light and a scream so powerful that people from the nearby farms woke in terror. By morning, nothing was left but blackened stone and the memory of a sound that no one could forget. I took a deep breath and stepped inside. The air was thick and damp, smelling of moss and old fire. Each step I took sent a quiet echo ahead of me, as if the tunnel was listening. Water dripped from the ceiling and hit the ground in slow rhythm. My flashlight caught strange shapes on the walls, dark stains that looked almost like handprints. I kept walking until I reached the middle. That was where the legend said she had died. The air there felt different, colder, heavier, as if the world itself was holding its breath. I turned off my flashlight. Instant darkness. The sound of my own heartbeat filled the space. I pulled out a small matchbox from my pocket. My hands were shaking, but I struck a match. A small orange flame came to life, lighting the rough walls and the slow trickle of water. For a few seconds, nothing happened, just silence. Then the wind began to move. It started as a soft sigh, then grew louder, rushing through the tunnel like a wave. The flame flickered wildly and went out. Darkness swallowed me, and in that darkness came the scream. It was high, sharp, and filled with pain. It echoed from wall to wall, impossible to tell where it came from, or if it was coming from inside my own head. I stumbled backward, feeling the cold stone brush against my hands. Something, or someone, moved beside me. I could feel the air shift, as if a person had just passed inches from my face. The scream faded slowly, turning into a soft sob, then into nothing at all. I ran. I don't remember how long it took to reach the end, only that I fell onto the wet ground outside, gasping for air. The night was still. The sky was quiet. Only the faint smell of smoke hung in the air, like a memory that refused to die. I looked back once. The tunnel stood silent and dark, but for a moment, I saw a flicker of light deep inside, a single spark, as if someone else had just struck a match. Some say it's only the wind, the shape of the tunnel making strange sounds at night. Others believe her spirit still waits there, reliving her final moment over and over again. Maybe it's just a story, or maybe some stories are echoes that never fade away. So if you ever find yourself near Warner Road and curiosity pulls you to the tunnel, take a match, but think twice before lighting it, because if the legend is true, the wind will blow it out, and then you'll hear her too.